For those who don't know Teresa, she's just a Moodle legend and heavily involved in Moodle. She helps out with Stuart and helped out with I think basically you organised the Moot this year, didn't you, in New Zealand? Stuart did a little bit on the side, but we'll say it was you. But Teresa's involved in Moodle and is always on the in the Moodle.org forum, so you'll see her around the community and a very helpful person and really does know her stuff. So I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation. So over to you, Teresa.
There's my cat in the background. Oh, I knew she would play the game. Okay, thank you, Shane. Thanks for coming, everybody. Yes, Stuart, it was an amazing Moot in Hamilton, so that was really good to have it back in the Waikato. So I'm going to turn the video off because I just usually find, besides me getting distracted with the cat, that it's probably a better experience for you. So, so good to see you. Get started. So I'm going to talk about how the use of Moodle has increased our Panopto use at the University of Waikato. Panopto is a lecture capture system, so it's video and audio capture. So, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. So first of all, who am I? As Shane says, I've been sort of in the Moodle community for a while, so I've been Moodling since 2004. You can see it's about nearly, or eight and a half, nearly 9 years ago. So I work as the e-learning system administrator and Moodle specialist at the University of Waikato. And previous to that, I was at the local Polytech, or TAFE for the Aussies. I'm a particularly helpful Moodler on Moodle.org most of the time. That is something that you need to consistently work at, and time constraints, I might have to get back on there and get that back. Stuart, I think I've lost it this month. I'm also a proud holder of the Moodle Course Creator Certificate, and I know, Stuart. And I also really enjoy quality assurance testing. So, you know, that's testing new releases as they come out. Now, the University of Waikato is also the maintainer of the Waikato Māori Language Pack, and so I maintain that in Amos. So, yeah, quite a few bits and bobs there. So first, a bit of history about Waikato introducing Panopto as the lecture capture system. We initially brought this in to enable us to capture content for iTunes U. So iTunes U was something that was, you know, in other institutes, and of course the big bosses were like, oh, we should be doing that too. So we brought in Panopto to help us with that. And we had a look at a few different solutions, and we liked this one because it meant that we didn't have to have extra equipment. So Panopto would install on Windows or Mac machine anywhere. So we could use it in the lecture theatres. We use it at our desks. We use it at home as well. So unfortunately, you do have to pay for it. So it's a licensed system. But fortunately, it has a good integration with Moodle. So so that meant quite a lot in the selection. And of course, with Moodle's open source code, it allowed us to enhance that integration to our advantage, which I'll go over as well. So I had a bit of work at the start. So initially, when we bought Panopto in, you have to have a folder to record your sessions to, and then you provide access to the folder so you can have, you know, the right people having the right access. It's a bit like creating courses and assigning roles. So I had to create individual Panopto folders for the people that needed to record something. I had to give them individual access with presenter rights, and then we had to assign the students to have viewer rights, which we could do through Active Directory groups. but that had to be done manually. So it was a bit of a mission. Teachers had to request it, and then of course the job came through, and with our everyday activities and stuff, the the folders would be created as as we had time to do that. So that was just extra admin work, and although we were happy with the solution, it meant more for me. And then in 2010, we had integration with Moodle. So this, for me, was a great move forward. It automated the time-consuming admin tasks. It also provided authentication through Moodle. And so that meant that in Moodle we have extra roles that we assign people to that may not have been in the Active Directory group. They were all provisioned with the folder through Moodle. So if you had editing access to the course, you got presenter access to the folder. And if you had student or non-editing access to the course in Moodle, you got viewer access to the recordings in the folder. And this happened automatically, so I basically didn't have to do much at all. Just add the block to the Moodle course and configure it, and away we went. Now, the other thing with the block is that the completed recordings were automatically displayed on that block for the students. So it was the hub to find these recordings as well. So Moodle not only provided the access and the authentication, but it also provided the hub to get to the recordings. There were a couple of issues that we had, so we tweaked the code a bit, and of course we couldn't have done this without the open source nature of the code. The block initially ran through all the courses that had that Panopto block associated to it and checked that the users were all good. So it would run through every student in every course that had the block and basically refocus the enrollments. And that took processing time, and so we tweaked it to only process the courses that had had activity since the last time the cron ran. So that meant that not every single course with the block was getting processed. And then we tweaked it some more to basically trigger the enrollment check or provisioning on the user, the Moodle's user enrollment API event. So that increased performance and basically meant it would only do it if there was actually a change rather than doing every single one. And without the ability to do that, because we also found if you've got two courses and course one has recordings and course two wants to use the same ones, then you can point course two to course one's folder. But the course two students weren't getting added to the access list in Panopto. So of course we tweaked that as well to make sure that worked properly. And without that, we have quite a few courses that do that. And without being able to tweak the code, it possibly wouldn't have been so fantastic. So I mentioned that we initially bought Panopto in for iTunes U, so I'm just going to run through some scenarios of how we use Panopto to capture audio and video content. So here we've got Helen Clark, ex-Prime Minister of New Zealand, who came to our Women in Leadership Day in 2011. So, public seminars and special events are recorded using Panopto. It uses the cameras in the room, so the security cameras are hooked up, and that's the video capture. The audio is typically the desktop mic, or it could be a lapel mic that's in the lecture theatre. So it's the same equipment that teachers would use when they mic themselves up for a lecture. We also use Panopto to record our Vice-Chancellor when he does addresses for staff, because not everybody wants to go along and listen to him or can't find the time. So of course we record it, and then you can watch it later and skip through all the boring budget bits. well, at least I do anyway. We also use it for professional development days. So when we have special guests come along, we capture that. And we also capture Whistlefest conference, which is an annual conference. And this year we used it to capture the Moodle NZ recordings as well. I also use it to record myself presenting Moodle enhancements for our upcoming upgrades. So, you know, when there's changes coming to Moodle, I put a presentation on for staff, and the people that are teaching at that time or off campus can watch it later. And of course, these are added to websites and also added to Moodle. So my recordings are added to a Moodle users course that I have that I use to disseminate information. So the teachers' lectures, typically the recordings look like this one. This is Kim teaching her biology class. Actually, no, she's not biology, never mind. And so we've got on the right, we've got screen capture, and on the left we've got the video, and we've also got notes that students can add as well. And you'll also find that there's a timestamp thing similar to the big blue button recordings. If you've looked at them, there's thumbnails down the left hand side. You can click on one of those to skip through the content, so it's quite similar to that. But what we found were the students were sort of prompting our staff to record the lectures. You know, I have my lectures recorded in course A, and it's really great. Can you do this in this course? And so the staff were encouraged and prompted by some of the students to start recording. And what tended to happen was that as well as the end of course student evaluations, teachers could actually review their own lectures, and actually, you know, being able to reflect on their own practice meant that they could improve their lectures. So last time we ran the session here at iMoot, we were talking about all the ums and the hand signals and things like that. So those sorts of things, you know, seeing yourself present. I don't like to listen to myself present, but it does have, you know, it gives you that opportunity to reflect on how you went so that you can improve it for next time. We have some teachers that use Panopto for assignment feedback. So here we have Rosina who's marking a student's assignment. So she's at her desk, she's capturing her screen, she's actually on a Mac, and so she's got the student's implementation plan here on the right. She's got an image that the student had. This is teacher training, so the students you know, submitted an image and an implementation plan for whatever this is. And Rosina's talking through that and actually providing audio and video feedback. And you know, this is much better than just notes in a margin. So you can actually see you know, the bits that Rosina's talking about, and you know, as she's going. Now, these recordings, because it's assessment feedback, these recordings are individually shared, so not in the same folder as the course lectures, because that access is provided automatically. So this is in a separate folder, and the access is provided individually, and then the link to the recordings simply put back into the feedback area of the assignment screen. So there's no extra dedicated equipment needed for this. Panopto is a piece of software that runs on a Mac or Windows, so we basically have a site license. It's quite an impressive amount, and which is a shame, but you know, we find it does a really good job for what we need, and it means that anyone in our institution can download the recorder to Windows or Mac. Doesn't do Linux yet, and you know, make their recordings and choose what they want. So it captures input. Is that an or Richard for the price? Because yeah, every time we get the bill, it's a bit like that sad face. So here's an example of Rainer who's using the document camera. So you can see, he's standing at the lectern with the document camera here. That's a USB input into the machine in the room, and Panopto takes those and puts it as an extra tab. So you must record audio. So audio is the minimum that you can record. You can choose whether you want to record your video, and as I mentioned, the video in our case, in our rooms, is based on the security camera, so that comes through into the lectern. The slides, so if you choose PowerPoint, then it will have a slides tab along the top here, and also the slide thumbnails are put down the bottom as jumper points. And here with Rainer's using the object video, you can also capture the screen, but not with Linux. Sorry, guys. So, we've found that Panopto is also helping to, capture the demonstrations that are happening inside the lecture rooms. So while you might be able to do an audio podcast to say how you're doing, talk through a lecture, you're actually, in this case, you're actually demonstrating what you're talking about, and it's being captured. So we've got, electrical meters and circuits and that are shown on the document camera as well. So here, this is actually a laser. Rainer's got a Moodle course called Laser Safety, and everybody in science who goes near lasers needs to go through this course, answer quizzes, and rather than scheduling a lecture, they might have 3 new staff members, and rather than scheduling a lecture for 3 people, he just gets them to watch the video. So, and this is actually a balloon that he's got here and a laser, and it eventually bursts. So, as I mentioned before, you don't need any specialist equipment. So like Rosina, we've got Lucy here who's recording from her desk. And what she's doing is actually going through the next assignment for her course and talking through what needs to happen. So rather than spending that time in the lecture going through the requirements of an assignment, Lucy's talking through this, and that gets then linked within the assignment. There's a link to the Panopto. It's also linked on the side block, but it's actually also right in that context of that assignment. So if you need to listen to what Lucy is saying to clarify the assignment, you've got that link right there in the assignment. And it also, we've found that staff recording content, small chunks of material in that from their desks, it reduces that transactional distance. But so specifically for our fully online courses, it also provides that face and being there. So within no time we had staff asking with us, how can students use this for their things? How can I get my students recording stuff? And here we've got an example of some students who was a group exercise, so having to create a PowerPoint of some content. So recording the presentation of this PowerPoint so that others could view it and comment. So a forum was set up to provide feedback and comments on the students' presentations there. So previously, these presentations would have taken place in the lecture. So now the lecture, set lecture time has more space for, more discussion and so on. We also found that students wanted to use it for reflection, so staff would come to us. So we've got Te Reo students wanting to practice doing a mihi or song or introducing themselves. We've got, here's an example of some management students who are going through the process of a dragon's den type exercise. So 3 guys on the left. Now I've blurred their faces because we couldn't get hold of these students to ask permission to show, but the students on the right are pitching to the student sitting down, who's the dragon, and you know, this is getting recorded so that they can go back later and, you know, reflect on how they went. And, you know, with peer feedback and teacher feedback, this was quite powerful. The ability for the capture of multiple cameras, so not specifically in this instance, but Menaka here is recording her mouth as she's speaking for pronunciation exercises, so English for speakers of other languages. So here's an ESOL course. Then we found that the staff are actually experimenting with more than one camera, so capturing you know, both the front and the side of the mouth as they're going through pronunciation exercises, so that students can see the shape of the mouth and where the tongue is and the teeth whilst talking through those words. And you know, these are currently linked to a self-help, sort of self-paced open access website, but you know, this is the kind of stuff that can easily be linked to within a Moodle course as well. Our law library uses Panopto to help students find things in their database, and then they are using that to link into the law courses where it's necessary. Here's an example of me. I've created a Moodle orientation video for our students. So it's basically just a quick 10-minute on how to find help, who to contact when you need help, talking about the navigation block. You know, we're at the My Home page at the moment, but you know, this menu is also created, and you can skip ahead to finding help in or submitting to an assignment. So previously I would have to go to different faculty orientation days, or I was invited to the start of certain papers or courses. And now I just provide the link, and the staff just play it. It's also linked to from the front of Moodle, and it's also linked in the Moodle help, which is up the top here. So yeah, Adobe to Connect, you know, that's the same. So yeah, expensive. Panopto's expensive too, unfortunately. Yeah, just looking at the comments. So we've collected some stats, and we did this last year. We have been using Panopto since 2009, midway through the year. So you can see there that we had just a few pilot staff. So there were 4 folders at the start, and the average viewing statistics was 18 hours per week. And in 2010, so that's the whole of 2010, we had 68 folders, and the average viewing hours per week was 108. Now at the end of 2010, so in October, which was just before summer school, so our second, we have two main semesters and 2 short summer schools at the start and at the end of each year. So the first semester is January to June, and second is July to November. So in October, at the end of the second semester, we integrated Panopto with Moodle. So this is where staff could actually create their own Panopto folder, and I'll show you the steps on how to do that shortly. And so the 68 folders was typically for that, was for that whole year, typical 108 hours a week of viewing. In 2009, the numbers of folders went to 156, and you can see the viewing statistics increased to 279 hours a week on average. And of course, 2012, it just, the folders more than doubled. Not more than doubled, nearly doubled. And this is where staff were actually creating their own folders in 2011, 12, and 13. So rather than me having to do it manually, the staff found that they could go in, they could easily just create their folder. They didn't have to wait for access. They could do it all themselves, and they were away laughing. And you can see in 2013, this was just last week, so we've already got 229 folders, and the average viewing hours a week has increased. And we think it's going to plateau at some point. Staff will only do it if they want to do it, but we have found that because it's easier for them to create their own folders, then it's enabled them basically to enhance. So at this point, I'm going to show you what it looks like with some screenshots. I'll just read Stuart's comment here. Challenges with the students viewing the content. Well, at the moment, Panopto uses Silverlight, so the students are prompted the first time they view just to install Silverlight if they haven't already, and it does display the podcast on a mobile device. It is streaming, so we haven't had many people that can't view anything. Probably the most difficulty we've had was students that are actually in schools or actually other tertiary institutions, and their firewalls needed to open a port, so I'm not sure of the full details. That was some time ago. So yeah, the viewing's relatively simple, and because typically it's linked to from within the Moodle course, then the students just click that and it opens in a new tab. Gareth, I'm not sure about the plans from Panopto's end. So I can tell you that when you view it on an iPad or an iPhone, then you view the podcast. So as well as being able to view it on the screen, so that it is in the web interface. So for this one, for example, you can actually also create podcasts. So the typical podcast will have just the video here, and then it will have Lucy just in the thumbnail in the corner, sort of in the bottom right. But you can change how that looks. So yeah. Okay, so I'll just show. Rather than screen sharing, I've just taken some screenshots just to go through the process. It's a lot quicker, particularly on my dev site, talking to Work's dev site. So here's a typical course, and just in the add blocks list, Panopto recordings is an option, so you just click that, and the block is added. Initially, the block needs to be configured, so you need to click the edit icon to configure the block. And at this point, this is where we've done a little bit of tweak, because we've made this a lot easier, because it used to be just a little tiny link, and our staff weren't always looking at this with their glasses on, so I couldn't see the link, so we've made this a bit bigger. But at this point, you can select to choose an existing folder. So this is just an example of what existing folders might look like. Or click this Create New Folder. Okay, so once you do that, you get confirmation. Confirmation. Slides are going a bit slowly. Okay, so and then you have the Panopto recordings here. So it will allow you to broadcast a recording. So when you're starting your recording, there's a tick box to allow you to broadcast it. So if there's a live session which has typically a 1.5 minute, 2 minute delay, they will show here. Any completed recordings will show here, and you can see that there's RSS feeds there that the students can add to their aggregators. For teachers, you also get these are extra options. So that's downloading the recorder if you haven't already got it, and also the course settings, which is actually the folder settings for Panopto. So this is the Panopto interface in the background. Now it's got heaps of folders because that's my access. This is just my dummy paper, but you can see that we've got some creators here, and we've also got some viewers. So these are my work colleagues. We've all got 2 accounts, a staff and a student account. So our student accounts have viewer access, and our staff accounts have creator access because we're all teachers and our students are all students. Can add extra people at this point as well, but you actually don't need to even see this because Moodle just does it in the background. So this is a screenshot of the Mac recorder. I should have also put one in for the Windows one, but because the Windows one actually shows more, it shows your screen capture or your PowerPoint sort of off to the right, so it's sort of more of a view of what the viewer looks like. But you choose your folder, so you sign in by your login on your Moodle site. So you choose your Moodle site as the provider, sign in, and then you've got a drop down of all the folders that you've created Panopto, you configured Panopto blocks for. Create your session, give it a name, hit record. On the Windows client, it's a really massive red button that you can't miss, and then you just click stop when you're finished. And as long as your machine's not shut down, so you can log off, as long as it's not shut down, it will continue to upload to our Panopto server, and it will process. Once it's completed, you can see that that recording will just show in the Moodle block. So students going through will just click that link and it'll open in the new tab. So so that's pretty much it. Question time, or if anybody wants me to sort of cover something extra, then feel free to fire away questions. It's a bit of conversation about Flash and Adobe Connect and ports. Just scroll through these. These just general comments or any specific questions. Perhaps if you had a specific question, you could just ask that again, because I think this might just be general chat about Adobe Connect and ports. One of the questions that I had when I had, did this session on Saturday was space allowances. So we've got our ITS department look after our Panopto servers, and we've got a couple of processors and quite a few storage servers. It does take space, and I've been archiving old material. The Waikato Centre for E-Learning, which is the department I work in, are trying to encourage staff to record small snippets or chunks of material that can be reused, rather than going, rocking up to a lecture, hitting the record button, recording the whole thing. They've recorded it last year and they recorded it the year before. So we're trying to get them to record small chunks and actually reuse those by just moving them into the next folder. Gareth, the videos don't get removed automatically. They're actually stored on a different server, so they're stored on our Panopto server outside of Moodle. So Moodle simply links to it. The Panopto server streams it, and besides that, our Moodle courses aren't actually deleted at the moment. But the links are actually just added to the block. Yeah, so the management of the Panopto is actually done outside Moodle. So Moodle, the Moodle Panopto integration creates the folder that you record to, and it provisions the users and the correct access, and then brings back the links to the recordings in the folder that belongs to that course. So all the management of the recordings on the Panopto side is done on the Panopto server. So things like editing or deleting or moving them from one folder to another is all done on the Panopto web interface. Now that looks like you can't really see because this is a pop-up menu, but this is the Panopto interface in the background there. So it is, that management of the Panopto folders is manual, and it's on a Windows server too, which is a bit sad. A general statement about the disadvantages compared to Adobe Connect. I can't really make a comment on that because I haven't really used Adobe Connect that much. Yeah, this is, yeah, not really, Stuart, sorry. Oh, that's a bit sad when you upgrade Adobe Connect. It breaks everything. Yeah, no, we don't have that issue. I don't know what the license is for Adobe Connect, but Panopto is fairly huge. Issues with changing things at one end and not the other. I'm not sure what you mean there, Gareth. The link in the Moodle course. So this link here, the Moodle course basically just brings in the URL links for any recordings on the Panopto side. So if I took this recording out of the folder that belongs to this course on the Panopto server, then that link just wouldn't be there anymore with a page refresh. Does that answer your question? When we have students come and go in the Moodle course, that event triggers the cron in the background to alter the access on the Panopto folder. Big Blue Button, Richard, is more for live things. So although you can broadcast your lecture or broadcast a recording using Panopto, it's not really, there's no chat. So if you have a question, you ask it, and the presenter gets the question there. But it's more, Panopto is more of a one-to-many, basically. We haven't. We've been looking at sort of Big Blue Button over the years. I think with Panopto, with having the recorder on your machine, you just open it up, pick what you want to capture, and go. You just tick a box to say capture the screen. You tick a box to capture the the PowerPoint. You tick a box to capture the audio, the video. You tick a box to capture the anything else. So yeah, you don't have to actually create a room for it like you would with Big Blue Button. I think Big Blue Button's more sort of video conferencing. This is more lecture capture. But the thing here is that Moodle is the hub, and if you look at these statistics, when we introduced Panopto at the end of 2010, the number of folders increased because staff could do it themselves. And because that was increasing, then of course the number of hours was increasing. We did have some staff going, oh, I'm not going to do that, my students won't come to class. But to be honest, one of the biggest users of Panopto has, has just about everybody turn up to her class. And if students aren't going to turn up to class, it's potentially for other reasons than just because they can get the content somewhere else. And I mean, if you're going to provide a PowerPoint and just read it out to them, and you put that PowerPoint online, why would they come along and listen to you read it out? So and one of the things that we're trying to encourage, and we're seeing it a bit, was that staff are using this to record video, audio and video chunks of material at their desks or at home, and actually putting it into the course for students to have a look at, and then they're using, flipping the class, they're using that class time for discussion and students, debate and things like that. Okay, EDC team, yeah, we're also we're a Google institution, so we've also got Hangouts. We've just been we've got Scopia, which is sort of a can't say it's a video conferencing, but it's a well, it is video conferencing, but it's sort of on a small scale. So for one-to-one ad hoc conversations or one to sort of few and screen sharing, then we do have Scopia, which runs on the Karen network, and we're going to whether it's happened already on Friday. I've been out of the office, but we've got the ability to use Hangouts to also sort of have Google Hangouts for conversations, and so that will be interesting as well. We're also in the middle of choosing a web conferencing tool, but I'm not involved in that project, so I don't really have any news on that. Any other questions? I'm aware of the time, and have we got a party happening soon? When's the party? Do we all get mojitos for here at the end? Oh no, that's not another 3/4 of an hour. Yeah, mojito wrap up, yay! But yeah, that's cool. I'm happy to keep answering questions. Just like my statistics slide. Somebody else said to me it was a great slide. It's good for management types. The folders aren't lined up, but yeah. Teresa the perfectionist. Look, lined up. Tell anyone. Thanks, Stuart. Any other questions? Feel free to grab the mic if you want to. Are other people using sort of video in the same way? Or anybody using lecture capture or chunks of video to go into their Moodle courses? And did you see that YouTube one that was on the other day? That looked pretty cool. Need to have another look at that. Thanks, Sally. Oh, okay, Richard. Yep. Yeah, there is a guy that Panopto aren't terribly good at keeping the code up to date. And to be honest, there is somebody else on GitHub. So let me just, I've got that. Oh, where have I got that? Let me just see if I can find the link for you, because you might want to use Git. This guy's Git repository. The Panopto guys. Oh, here it is. let's copy this into chat. So this guy's been doing some code for the block. We're currently using 2.2. We'll be upgrading to 2.5 in November. We have basically we've got 3 Moodle free Mondays which are scheduled throughout the year, and we always do our upgrades in November. And last November we weren't quite ready for other various reasons, so we'll be upgrading in November. And of course, this is one of the things that we need to make sure it's all good. Richard, we haven't quite got that far yet. We've got quite a list of things to make sure are all good. So yeah, I'm not sure if Troy's actually had a look yet. Oh, okay, Gavin, so Camtasia server for lecture capture and putting them in a digital streaming repository. And then I suppose, is that able to be linked to as a resource on the Moodle site? Or perhaps just the link? Oh, okay, repository, cool. The microphones in the lectures, so our lecture rooms are sort of set up in different ways, which is typical. So all lecture rooms have a microphone, and whether it's a desktop mic, which is just sort of sitting there and can be used for video conference, or just as a microphone for teaching, or we have lapel mics, which of course staff need to make sure they put back into the charger properly, because sometimes it'll run out, and that's not very good. We do have directional mics typically in the big lecture theatres, or the lecture theatres that have web conferencing abilities. We basically, when we do our stuff at our desk, we just use a standard webcam or even a headset like the one I'm wearing at the moment. Actually, you can't see me. So, I could just record using this headset, so it'll pick up any USB mic, or any microphone input. Yeah, question and answers, that's always a tricky thing. We do, it's just part of that teaching really, isn't it? I mean, even if you're not capturing your lecture, if somebody at the front asks a question, the guy at the back's not going to hear it properly. So it's actually always good practice really to repeat the question, or to phrase the answer in such a way that people don't need to know what the question is. I try to do that. I don't know if I've done very well today. I always get nervous when people I know are in the room, so, Oh, Richard, that would be really cool. Any other questions?
While waiting for questions, Teresa, Shane here. Just wanted to say thank you for presenting and taking the time out, and always love hearing your thoughts. So, cool.
Thank you.
And for everyone, don't forget the iMoot wrap-up session coming in 40 minutes.